Then there are allocation methods. So this is the second level. So first level was directly implementation, where it is a higher level, where it is telling the group of files to the operating system that how many group of files are called are grouped under this directory. But the second level is, which is allocation methods. The allocation methods tell you that how on the second layer each file is allocated logical blocks from the actual bigger area of the. So this these are the logical blocks, and here you have the what we are saying, the allocation method. So this is the allocation method inside the directory structure, which is pointing to all these logical blocks. And on top of this there is a directory information which is telling what kind of subdirectories which are connected to reach to this file. All of this information is over here. So here we see those methods. The first method is contiguous allocation. Contiguous allocation best described with this picture. Here you can see that the directory contains these 5 files. First file is count, then tr, mail, list, and f. And all of these, for all of each of these files, we are storing the starting address, the starting block number of that file, and the length of of that file. So for example, this file count started at logical block number 0. So it is starting, the count file is starting here, and it consists of two logical blocks. So here we end at one alone. So these are two blocks, both combined into the file called count. Similarly, the file tr starts at logical block number 14, goes up to 3 logical blocks. So it starts at 14, 14, 15, and 16. These are the 3 blocks this file is allocated. So we say that these 3 blocks are called tr. Similarly, the file mail starts from 19, has 6 blocks in it. So this is file mail. So this is called contiguous allocation, very easy. But there is a problem with this allocation, that it does not allow to break the file into two groups of logical blocks. So that there's a problem that sometimes some small number of blocks get stuck inside two files. So these 17 and 18 you can see are stuck inside the file tr and mail, and there can be only a file of size 2 blocks can be stored on 17 and 18, and no bigger file can be stored on this in these two blocks. So in order to get rid of this problem, what we do, we can modify this scheme to extent based system, where the directory structure will now contain more columns, and more columns will now store or save the information of more extents. So now for example, there was a file which I broke into two parts, and one part I stored over here, and the other part, or maybe not here, let me erase this and let me use that the first part or first extent of the file I stored over here, and the second part or second extent I stored over here. So both of these point to the same file. So for example, the name of the file was ab. So in front of ab I will have to now write 17 and 2, and then I will be writing 25 and 3. So now this file will be properly addressed by using the extent based scheme. So um, then there is another method called linked method, in which you can see that the directory contains the file name, and in front of file name the starting block number and the ending block numbers are written, and it doesn't store the length of the file. So you go to the starting block, which is block number 9. Inside the block number 9 you also see the ending block number, which is block number 16. So you go to block number 16, and in block number 16 you see the name of the next block in this file, which is block number 1. So you go to block number 1. Inside block number 1 you see the address or name of the next, and by the way, each block is now holding some data, most of the data of the file, and then a small 1 byte is maybe used to store the next byte of this file. So next block of this file. So next block is block number 10. You go to block number 10, where there is file contents as well as name of the next block, which is block number 25. So you go to block number 25. In block number 25 there is some file data, and also there is -1, and -1 indicates that it is not a valid block number because block number starts from 0. So -1 means that this file has ended to this point, and this endpoint also verifies that you have reached the end of the file. Although this information is redundant, but it also only gives you more reliability about the file. So this was called the linked allocation scheme. And by the way, your FAT or FAT file system also used linked technique of allocation of logical blocks to the files. And here you can see the name of the directory, and then you can see the starting block number only. It doesn't even store the ending block number. You go to that block number, and this traversal is stored inside the FAT array of all the block numbers, and it gives you easier access. Instead of storing these block numbers in actual data blocks, what have you done? You have created a copy of only block names over here, and you are using the pointing inside this location. This is just a table of all of these blocks, and it is easier to locate file numbers instead of going to the data blocks and then reading the block numbers. So this is what FAT did, slight modification of the linked scheme. And you went to 217. 217 did not contain any data but just the address of the next block. So you went to 618. Again, it is not the data, just the block number of pointer to the next block number, which is 339. So you are ending at 339. Maybe you have to store -1 over here to tell this scheme that the file is has ended. By the way, that this list of block numbers contains the pointers and blocks for all the files, because this list represents the complete hard disk just in terms of numbers. So then there is another method called index location. The index location is even simpler uh, because it simply contains the file name and the starting index of the block where which is the index block. Sorry, the name, the directory structure contains the name and the index block number, and the index block is just another data block. If you zoom into that block, you will see that it contains the actual all the complete list of data blocks for this file Jeep. So the data blocks are 9, 16, 1, 10, 25. The benefit of it is that there will be no external fragmentation because every single block can be accessed individually, and the complete list is given in this data block. And you simply, sorry, index block, and you simply save the name of this index block in the directory structure, right? So this is quite convenient. And because the numbers, sorry, the block size is fixed length, just like we saw in the memory, the paging technique in memory. For example, in this example, the block height is 8. It is very important that all the locations in this remaining locations which do not point to any blocks must be represented by -1 to tell the operating system that these are not pointing to any logical block numbers. And we can, because these are data lines, so you can actually store -1 over here, and block numbers start from 0, so -1 will not be pointing to any valid block number. So you will readily know that this is the valid file index blocks. So my question to you, what do you think we should do when or if I want to make a file which is very large, which is 16, which is 16 blocks wide, or it needs to have 16 blocks in it? So the answer to that would be that I can index only 8 blocks using this one index block. But my file now needs 16 blocks. So I will need another index block, right? In which I will write the names of the remaining 8 blocks. Okay. So now the directory structure needs to do either of these two things. Either it could store the name of the second index block as well. For example, the name of this block was 31. So it would store 31 over here. This was first option. The second option could be that we use another data block as an index block, and that outer layer index block points to these two index blocks, and then -1 in the rest of the entries, because this only contains two index blocks. And then the name of, for example, the name of this was 29, then all of this would be erased, and then this 29 would be written in front of this directory, and we would know that this is a two-level directory scheme, so that it first reads the first block as not the direct access to logical blocks, but access to the second level index blocks. This is the example for that second level of thing. So these are the logical blocks, these are the actual files, and this is the index table which is again stored somewhere over here, but sorry, not over here, inside the disk, and it points to the logical block numbers. But if the file becomes too big, you can have an outer index table which points to these different index tables. And the example is very practically implemented. Unix has been using in the 32-bit addressing these techniques, like and by the way, this is the file control block, the FCB, and FCB contains the addresses of the direct blocks in this location. So if it's a very small file, you will maybe have 10, 20 entries of direct logical blocks number over here. This is not even indexing. This is like a variant of indexing where the index block is inside the file control block. And if the file is slightly bigger than this, then you can use single indirect, which is the scheme of indexing that we just saw. It will point to a data block which will be the in reality the index block, and then you will that index block will be pointing to the data blocks. And then you also have, if the file is even larger, then you can use double indirect, like there will be an index block which will be pointing to index blocks. The example that I made, this was the example that I showed you, that if the file is like 16 blocks wide, then what would we do? You will use a double indirect indices to access the data. And then if the file is even larger, there is also an option of triple indirect. So if the file is very, very extremely large, you can still use this file system easily to index these files.